We're now coming to you from Bakersfield, California, and when we got here, we knew that we had a truck problem that we needed to solve. So I'm going to take the camera and Tom is going to explain what the problem was, what he also found when he was digging into it, and how in general we work on our truck while we're on the road.
Let's pop the hood and I'll tell you what was happening. Basically, we started having a noise, and I've talked about this a number of times, that you really need to be cognizant of noises and things in your truck or camper because they can really often indicate a problem. And we had heard this sort of growling, pardon the super dirty truck, we need to clean that up, some growling sound, and it turned out to be our water pump bearings failing. And if you come over here, I'll show you what we replaced. Luckily, it was something I could do myself, but basically that wheel on the pulley there, so basically I had to pull that off and plop it back on. And the reason that today we're doing the video a little bit different is because we didn't have a lot of time because we've been working on this. And we just wanted to talk a little bit about maintenance on the road today and what we've encountered. Most of the time we try to do things like this ourselves. I have a lot of tools with me in the truck, and a lot of things I'm able to tackle, and I prefer doing that because then I know how the job was done, and I learned something as well. Luckily, anytime that we've really had an incident that needed to be repaired, we've been somewhere that I could get parts. Really, it's easy to get parts all over the country now. So getting parts or even a special tool isn't really that hard these days. So doing the work yourself, if you're handy, usually is a pretty good option, because if you don't do it yourself, you got to find a mechanic, and as everyone knows, it's nice to have a trusted mechanic. And when you're on the road, you don't have a trusted mechanic. So when you're in a unique place, you don't know who to go to. And that's actually what the second problem ended up being. If we come back here underneath the truck, while I was working on the water pump up front, I noticed that our differential, which is that thing right there, you can see that it's got oil splattered all over it. That's because the pinion seal, which is in between the drive shaft and the differential, started to completely fail. And that was something that I couldn't very easily do myself because it required bigger tools and more torque than I could apply in a driveway. So we ran into an instance where we needed to find a mechanic to do the work. Now, on RVs and trucks, a lot of times these things are too big for most auto mechanics to work on. So what we found ourselves doing, since also truthfully I don't trust the Dodge dealer to work on this truck because they've kind of screwed me over in the past, we usually like to go towards dedicated truck repair places or semi-truck repair places. A lot of times the heavy-duty truck repair places can work on these big vehicles, and they know what they're doing. Those places also usually have lifts that are big enough. We've run into many times where a auto mechanic can't lift this truck because it's just too heavy. So going to those semi-truck places is a great option for them to be able to do it for sure. The problem again comes to trusted mechanic. If you can get a recommendation in the place that you're at, like we're staying with some folks right now, that's a great idea. Otherwise, I just start calling around. And a lot of times I know what the problem is that I need to have fixed, so I can kind of talk to them about it and ask them how they're going to do the job and judge their competence to actually solving the problem. But actually getting somebody that you trust to do the work can be difficult on the road. We've had to go to a mechanic, I think, 3 times, and every time it was kind of nerve-wracking. I called around and I sort of just gauged whether I feel like these people could do the work or not. As for doing a lot of the work yourself or even having a mechanic do it, the nationwide auto parts stores, Napa, O'Reilly's, AutoZone, the stores like that are kind of convenient to use on the road because they have a system that will have you in it if you set up an account with them. So if any of the parts fail, most of them are warranted. You can get a replacement part anywhere in the country. I don't always trust some of those aftermarket parts. It depends on what it is I'm replacing. Sometimes I'll go right to the dealer or to order a higher quality part from another store online. But using those auto parts stores is really convenient to be able to get parts quickly. Also consider using those stores for tool rental. A lot of times they have specialty tools, so you don't have to go out and buy a specific tool. With the differential here, it required a couple 100 pounds of force, so I really needed a big impact wrench, like a 3/4 inch impact truck wrench to actually be able to do that job is just not something that I could have done even with rented tools. So that had to go to a mechanic. I called around. I first called some semi-truck repair places. They recommended me to somebody that could get the job done that they would have trusted today. He was an auto mechanic, but he had the big tools and was able to do the job for us, which is great. A lot of times you need to get back on the road quickly, so we typically find ourselves trying to get to a place where we know there's a lot of options, and then we can call around to a whole bunch of them and get the job done pretty quickly. We were actually able to get this job done same day, which was really nice. So we travel in a 1-ton Dodge Ram. It's a 2010 model truck. Talking about maintenance, you're probably going to wonder, like, is that a reliable truck? You know, I've heard so many people have problems with all the big trucks out there. Things just wear out. Unfortunately, this pinion seal wore out probably sooner than we would have liked, but the truck has 167,000 miles on it. So, I mean, stuff just wears out, and you're going to have maintenance problems on the road. The biggest thing I can recommend is just try to stay on top of them, stay on top of sounds, look for drips, look for leaks, and try to get them fixed before they become a catastrophic problem that leaves you stranded on the side of the road. The water pump, actually, that is probably the weakest point in this truck that I know of. We've replaced that twice before already, and it didn't seem to matter if it was a factory part or an aftermarket part. They just don't last. We know other people that have been stranded on the side of the road due to that part. So what I did today, you know, it wasn't leaking or anything. It was just making a lot of noise, and I could tell that it was about to go. So just being proactive about it prevented us from breaking down on the side of the road down the way. Same with the differential. I mean, it was a pretty big leak, but it wasn't like catastrophic yet. If we were going down the road and the oil got too low, we could burn up our differential, and that could be thousands of dollars in repair, plus being stranded on the side of the road. So just try to be proactive about maintenance. And if you are in a place that you know or have a recommendation for somebody to do the work, that's the best. So that's about it. We're going to keep this video short because we're kind of delayed and need to get back on the road, but hope this helps some of you out if you're kind of wondering about maintenance on the road.
Thanks so much for tuning in this week. This is Mondays with the Mortons. If you like this video, go ahead and press the thumbs up. And if you haven't joined us yet, we'd love to have you along for our journey. So hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next week.
Bye. So this is the old seal that was in the differential, and I have no idea what happened here, but you can hear it cracking. You can see that the plastic is actually cracked there. This is supposed to be a very flexible seal, but for some reason this thing hardened up and just turned brittle and no longer sealed. So we got a new seal in there that's hopefully better than this and hopefully will last a lot longer.